but the song is mine. Chapter 6. The Chorus of the Cul-de-sac. We hid in my living room and bolted the locks that only ever stopped the well-meaning. Eli sat on the couch with a blanket around his shoulders, drinking water like it was a lie he wanted to believe. His skin brightened by degrees that did not match time. He watched the door with a patient expression, like a child waiting for a punchline. Noah came before dawn, eyes red like the bottom of a glass. He didn't ask questions. He looked at Eli's teeth, at his pupils, at his pulse, and nodded at data none of us could see. He said, "He's halfway to wherever that thing is. He can come back. He'll take something with him when he leaves. That's the price." The cul-de-sac felt like a set designed by a cruel director. The same house copied 8 times with small differences so your brain couldn't map safety. The roofs shone with heat by day, and at night the shadows didn't behave. Noah sketched a plan with a Sharpie on takeout napkins. He said, "The roofs, aluminum sheets, mirrors. Let's make the sun where it's not." He told a story without telling it. A thing older than the Las Vegas Valley that wore faces and signed agreements and built communities bent into rings so it could watch its food from every angle. It moved west with money and drought. It stood quietly in lines, it learned to grill without eating, and it never once watched television alone. He said it like a punchline and then waited for us to think it wasn't. We gathered supplies from garages. Roll after roll of reflective insulation, nails, duct tape like silk on a wound. We worked in whisper and panic. The plan was idiot simple. Lure Voss into a half-built model home at the end of the street, black the windows, and set up a sun inside with UV floods and foil. Force him to choose between entering uninvited and burning in a place he felt nothing for. At dusk, I stood in the model's foyer with the piano legs stake in my belt and iron filings along my wrists. I felt theatrical enough to hate myself. Maya hid in the kitchen with a lighter and a can of hairspray. Noah walked lines of salt like he was tracing where he would die, if that was how tonight wrote itself. Eli sat in a chair facing the door, hands tied loosely, eyes huge and calm. He said, "He's already inside me. Bring him here." The first knock came politely. The second came like gravity. The third arrived from all directions at once, because he had learned where the building was weak. The door swung open with the unresisted confidence of bad decisions. Mr. Voss entered and paused. The model home shivered, recognizing a shape it had been built for without knowing. He said, "You have arranged light. It's admirable how much you think about seeing." He stepped toward Eli. The UV roared on. The house went noon white and then bone blue. He burned like paper printed with an expensive photo, starting at the edges, curling and blackening where he was most beautiful. He did not scream. He simply looked surprised at last that anything could be done to him. He moved fast anyway because hunger outruns rules. He reached for me and got iron filings on his palms, and the smell was like wet pennies and thunder. Maya's flame blossomed in a sheet. Noah shouted a word that had no vowels. I plunged the steak without finesse. It met resistance, then met a hollow place that wanted to be filled. It slid in like a key. It whispered like a blade through silk. He looked at me as if I told him a secret. Then he smiled a small, sincere smile, and folded around the steak, and went down like a marionette that had forgotten the words. In the long breath after, the reflective foil trembled like it was remembering we had asked it to be a sun. The house dimmed to a human color. The smell lingered, burnt sugar and something older than sugar. We waited for triumphant silence. Instead, the air gathered itself and exhaled through the vents, and from inside the walls came a sound like laughter, multiplied by ducks. The model home had been built from plans drawn by men who had signed a lot of papers without reading the italics. Somewhere under the slab, the desert let out a sigh.